are live. We're about to go on WCPT in Chicago talking about transformation. And so we're just in the waiting room.
Hi, we're ready to get our tonsils pulled and tell you all about transformation. When you're talking about like the waiting room thing, that's what I feel like. And I feel like do you record at home? I don't know.
No, not yet.
Okay. But they will be.
Yes. So we've got Avi. We've got one person watching. We've got Avi, who is a deviser on transformation. We're ready to do it. Oh my goodness, we're going live. We've got Gaby, the director, and we've got Kev, our literary and deviser and performer. So wow, we're about to be live.
I just want to apologize ahead of time. There's a good chance that your name might get mispronounced because I just had to write it on the fly. We'll see how it goes. I'm so sorry.
Hey, Avi Roque.
Yeah, Avi Roque. Cool. Oh, hey.
I'll correct.
Cool.
This is exciting.
Guys, wait right here, and then once he goes to the news, we'll throw you in, okay? Cool. Thank you so much.
Half of your name sounds like similar letters, so it's like happy.
That's exciting.
Okay, like so. Well, yeah.
And now it's going to be
Yeah, but Avi Roque is also but
Avi Roque.
Wayne Roque.
Hi, we're live on Facebook.
Hi, how are you?
Good, we're good. Can you tell us a little bit about the radio station?
This WCPT, we're Chicago's Progressive Talk, AM 820. We're the only progressive talk station left in the tri-state area, but we talk about politics from a progressive point of view. You're about to be on with Wayne Besen. It's our local show, 2 to 5 p.m. Friday.
Do you have, can you give us any like questions that he might be asking us so we know?
I'm not aware of what he's going to talk about. No, he doesn't share that with me. So good luck. Yeah, we'll find out.
Do you want to fly for a show for the office?
Sure.
Gaby making it work.
Sure. I can put it up in the lunchroom.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck.
So you guys, we're about to be on live radio for transformation. We're just in the holding pen right now. We're just waiting to talk about politics, and it's a really important discussion. I think. I mean, we all know what just happened, so we got some good things that we're going to talk about with these awesome, talented people behind me that are working on transformation so hard. So please stick with us. You can listen to it live, but you can also watch it live. Make sure to like their page. I tagged it in this post. Hi everybody, thanks for joining us. We have 10 people watching.
What?
Yeah, we really appreciate you guys watching. It's really important that we, thank you Alexia, we love you too. If I see Ellen, I'll say hi. Okay, cool.
You guys in?
All right, we're going in.
Yes.
Hi everyone. How are you? Good.
Hi, Wayne.
Hey, how are
We're
you?
live on Facebook.
Huh?
Hope that's okay. We're live on Facebook.
Oh, okay. I should have shaved.
No, you look great.
Hey, I should have shaved everyone. Yeah.
So,
Thank you so much for having us on.
Sure.
We're very excited. You look great.
no, he'll make sure you're turned on.
Gabby.
Yes, that's me.
It's your Gabby. Okay, your Gabby's over here. Avi.
Avi.
Okay.
Avi.
Huh?
Yeah, Avi.
Okay, so Avi, how do you say your last name?
It's Roque. Avi Roque.
Roque.
Yeah, Avi Roque.
Okay. And Gabby, how do you say your last name?
Labotka, like lobotomy and vodka put together.
Labotsko?
Labotka?
Labotsko. It sounds like
Labotka.
Bot.
Like robot and ka.
Sounds like something I ate after synagogue. No,
Maybe.
Oh, babka, that's what I'm thinking of. The babka.
Babka.
Yeah, babka.
Baba
yeah.
Ganoush? No.
Labotka. And I think I can say Sparrow.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Just like the bird.
I would love if that was the hardest name that you would have
People
to say
have
today.
mispronounced it.
My pronouns are she, her,
Yes.
and Kevin's pronouns are,
They, them.
and Avi's pronouns are
They, them.
What are your pronouns, Wayne?
he, him.
Whatever you want to call me.
He, him?
Yeah,
Probably he, him.
okay.
What do you usually
How do you identify
use?
Yeah.
as a...
Like,
If
if you were to talk about yourself in the third person, how would you refer to yourself?
I,
Third person, not first person, brother.
me.
Probably he.
Good afternoon. We are back right now. You know, it's been a very difficult week politically, and a lot of us are in pain right now. And the best way to get around this pain and suffering sometimes is entertainment. And we have with us right now, before we get back to talking about the election, this political apocalypse, we have with us right now 3 special guests. We've got Kevin Sparrow, we've got Gaby Labotka, and Avi Roque. And they are here to talk about a Nothing Without a Company and living canvas production called Transformation. It's a world premiere right here in Chicago. And the show runs from November 17th through December 17th at the Vault at Collaboration Studios. Well, I think I mispronounced that too. In the Flatirons Art Building. But we'll get to that later. But first of all, let's talk about the show, and then you can tell everyone where it's at today. So how did the show come about? What is the gist of it?
Great. Well, the show came about from a series of, thinking about trans people, trans lives, and how to tell those stories because they weren't being represented on the stage by actual trans and gender non-conforming people. So Gaby, who's worked with us at Nothing Without a Company and worked with the Living Canvas, wanted to make sure that the Living Canvas had a show that could showcase those stories. So how did you go about that process, Gaby?
Well, I had first gotten the idea after Jared Leto won the Oscar for playing a trans woman. It was a very frustrating experience because it's like trans women exist and trans women are actors, so you might as well cast the correct type of person to best tell that story. And so I thought that the Living Canvas would be a good vehicle for telling trans stories for a number of reasons. One of them being I had also witnessed an interview with Laverne Cox wherein the person interviewing her...
That's Laverne Cox is in Orange is the New Black.
Correct, yeah. Orange is the
Great
New Black.
show. Love the show.
Yeah, wonderful show. And she's an extremely talented actor. But the person that was interviewing her decided to ask her about her genitalia. And it's just such an invasive question. And, I mean, you don't do that to cisgender people. And so I thought it was very strange. And I wanted to provide, I thought that the Living Canvas, since it's performed nude, would remove that type of questioning and just like let people listen instead of obsessing over what people's bodies are.
Well, I mean, when I fight for LGBT rights, telling stories is the most effective thing of all of changing minds. I mean, that's actually what happened with marriage equality. We were talking about statistics and equality and all that, but it didn't change until they figured out that one-on-one talking about love and people, interactions, that's what moved America, and that's what moved the poll numbers and where we got today. And with transgender people as well, it's the same exact thing, and that's why I think this show is very important for people to create a space where they could be entertained and informed at the same time. Is that what you're trying to do?
I think that's a good way to capture it, that the one-on-one storytelling is primary to this show and to shifting opinions. The show itself was made up of different stories that we collected from the trans and gender nonconforming community, both here in the United States, in Chicago, and internationally. So we put a call out for submissions, and that's how the show was crafted, really, was from our generous contributors giving over their stories to us. And so those stories filter their way into the characters that we have now in the show. And I think that's really where the power of the narrative lies, is showing individual trans and gender nonconforming people telling their own stories.
And we've heard a lot more about transgender issues in the last couple of years, more than ever, especially with the transition of Bruce Jenner to Caitlyn Jenner, although she apparently loves Donald Trump or Ted Cruz, which Somebody help me figure that one out.
Humans are complicated.
Yeah, no, that's very complicated. Ted Cruz, God, Ted Cruz. He's going to be great on trans issues. But we've made a lot of progress. And now we've got Donald Trump, and you've got these yahoos slithering like serpents out of the woodwork. And we're getting hate crimes that are being reported. My friend just reported the one in Washington, D.C. because somebody had a human rights campaign sticker. And most vulnerable for hate crimes are transgender people, if you look at the statistics. Are you scared right now, given the climate that Trump has created? I'm scared as a gay person. I know my friends who are Hispanic, African American, Muslim, Jewish, terrified. This must take special resonance right now, and of course, and it speaks to why we need plays like this. But talk about the climate now, the improvements we've seen, and how that is possibly threatened by this new cabal going to Washington with their violent and vicious attitudes towards a lot of people.
Well, what I had found was we just went into Tech Week the night of the election, and we had this beautiful, hopeful arc happening, and something shifted in us, and I think it is partly that fear. All of us that are in the room, especially as artists and just people of complex identities, we are all feeling that type of fear. But with that, because we are art makers, we also know that we have a lot of work and that we can be the leaders of the work that needs to be done. I think this show is one of the first steps, at least in trying to achieve more equality, more freedom for transgender and gender nonconforming individuals in our world.
Is it difficult to address for some people social issues, but also keep it still interesting and funny? Is it like a double challenge to not get too serious with it, to make sure everybody is smiling as well? Because I know from my activism it's been a challenge. You want to be serious and do it, but you also, when you're entertaining, you want to keep it light but serious at the same time to have maximum effect.
I think that is always a challenge with any art that you make, but especially with the sensitivity around telling that story of being a gender nonconforming person in this society. You still are a person and you still carry that humor with you. So I think you bring that natural levity to it anyway, and you feel deeply about what is happening within the show. So I think there is always a balance, and I think some of that comes naturally.
What would be a success when somebody walks out of the theater for them to be telling themselves, when they're talking within their mind, what do you want them to be telling themselves for you to say, wow, that was a success?
For me personally, and I can only speak to my own positioning as a gender nonconforming person, is to recognize and respect my pronouns, and also just recognize that people have gender identities, whether they're cisgender or transgender. Like, to recognize that you do have your identity and you may not see that, so getting people maybe to better recognize their own gender identities.
So where can people go to see this show, and I'll give you your pitch for it, who wants to give the pitch to see the show, and why see it, what it's going to be about, and where?
Well, the show is exploring the naked truth of gender identity through performers under projections, but performing nude. It will be performed at the Vault Space at Collaboration Studios at the intersection of North Avenue, Milwaukee, and Damon.
Mm-hmm.
Tickets are $15 for previews, which is November 15th and 16th, and for our regular run, tickets will run $30. We open on November 17th and close December 17th.
Excellent. So I look forward to seeing it. Everyone else, is there a website people can go to or to learn more about it?
Well, yeah, you can go to either of our company websites, either thelivingcanvas.com or nothingwithoutacompany.com, and also check out our Facebook pages.
Excellent. Thank you so much for appearing on the Wayne Besen Show. I look forward to seeing it, and I urge everyone else to see it as well.
Yes, please come.
This is Wayne Besen, where Facts Matter, WCPT. We're going to talk about the elections in a minute, and we got Frank Rich from New York Magazine coming on at 4:45. I'm looking forward to that. I want to hear what you have to say. And by the way, I'm still mad about this whole Senate and the Supreme Court. I believe the Supreme Court seat has been stolen, and we ought to not cooperate with this one. On other issues, yes, but this cannot stand. I'll be back in a moment to take your call. 773-763-9278.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate
It's It's nothingwithoutacompany.org too. We're a nonprofit theater company. I don't know if you can clarify that later. Nothingwithoutacompany.org.
I will. I'll say it.
Thank
I'll
you.
say it.
Because facts matter, right?
Not anymore in this country, apparently.
I mean,
Facts are bullshit.
I really appreciate you having us on.
Oh, I'm happy to.
They're in tech and it's a whirlwind right now. So.
It's in your lunchroom, but share it somewhere else.
And I know you're coming on Saturday.
Which I'm so crazy at the election.
I'll remind
Okay,
you
'cause
next Saturday.
I'm like frazzled with this. There's so much going on with it
Yes,
right now.
yeah.
But, hey, it's
So good to see you.
anytime, you know, anything interesting. It's good to take a break from some of this too. So.
Yeah. And if you want us on to talk more after you see it, let us know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Because there's
Thanks
lots
for
of
coming in.
conversations
Come
to
all the
be
way.
had.
Thanks for coming out to the beautiful Jefferson.
Thank you.
And thanks for letting us live stream.
My hair. My God.
You look great. It's radio. You're good.
Weekend, y'all. And
Yeah.
good luck. I'll come check it out, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, about a month to see it.
Yeah, you got plenty.
I think he said he's coming on Saturday, but I'll confirm with you.
Like tomorrow, Saturday.
No.
Okay.
Next
Next
Saturday.
Saturday. Okay.
Well, it was very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Have
you.
a good night.
Yeah, thank you so much.
See you later.
Yeah, sorry I didn't speak, but I needed to be present.
Yeah,
It
you
was
did.
important that I was present.
We
well-
had a conversation on the train.
And we had a conversation.
I should make you over there and take phone calls with me.
No. Oh gosh.
Oh, actually, can I steal one of y'all's phones to?
Oh, we're about to go on air.
Yeah, we gotta go.
In just a sec. We're gonna.
Oh, it's just a heavy door. Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. Good afternoon, it's Wayne Besen. I hope you are having a lovely day. Considering the entire nation is falling apart, we are doing our best. We're going to take your calls, and I want to hear what you have to say. And where are we as a country right now? Where are we going? What do we do? The Democrats are trying to find new leadership. The Republicans are in transition, and we've got a Supreme Court battle on the horizon. What do you think is going to happen? Let's go to the phones. Let's talk this out, because that's the only way we're going to keep our sanity. Let's go to Donald in Aurora. Welcome to the show.
We're gonna wait to take a photo. Hi guys. So how do you think it went, Kevin? Yeah.
It's very quick.
Yeah.
I think like the main things that I wanted to say.
You got it in there. Okay, good. Good. Okay, I didn't say anything, but that's okay. What was important that I was present and visible and here. So great. Avi feels good. I feel good. Stop. We really appreciate you guys watching, and we hope to see you next week when we open, okay?